Welcome, welcome everyone. Hope you are all doing well this fine evening, afternoon, morning according to the sim. Welcome to southern Germany. Get to do some flying in Deutschland today. We have a Wild Murphy appearing. Good day, good day. I hope you're well. I hope your work day wasn't too stressful. I hope you got some sleep too. Scotland's here. Welcome, welcome. I'm well. I hope you are well. Fly Darian's here. Welcome. Jim Oates. Good day. Red Dragon is here. Welcome, welcome. And Kendra is here. Waiting for an ice cream advertisement like in the cinemas. Bad Dog is here. Welcome aboard. Welcome to Deutschland. Good to hear it, Murph. Good to hear it. I'm feeling better than I was yesterday. But I take nothing for granted. So we're doing... I had to add an extra stop for the plane that I wanted to fly and the route that I wanted to take over southern parts of Germany, close to the, pardon me, the border of Austria and or the Czech Republic. As I consult the map just to make myself not look like a fool. Switzerland and Austria, I should say. And not quite right by it, but our first stop will be slightly north of Liechtenstein. So we get to see we'll fly over the Black Forest and we'll fly just north of Munich. And then we'll end up near the border of Czechia. Which I suppose is the new name for the Czech Republic. So, what do you say we get in the airplane and get things going? So here we are. I may have taken German in high school, but that was also quite a while ago. So I'm saying that I'm rusty is a bit of an understatement. We are here at Bremgarten, and our first stop will be Friedrichshafen. From Friedrichshafen, we'll be going to Augsburg. From there, we'll be going to Eggenfelden and ending up in Arnbruck. We are running the live weather on the East US server. The in-game time is going to be slightly after 0800. And everybody is more than welcome to join along. As we are once again flying the DA-40. Actually been quite enjoying it. It's a nice little airplane. I wish it had steam gauges, but I can say that about a lot of airplanes. From what I saw of the windsock, we will be having a crosswind here. Roger that, Deep Future. Welcome, welcome. So there's our windsock. And it's definitely perpendicular to the runway. It's hard to tell. It may favor down that way. So we're going to go ahead and get this party started by getting some lights Alright, well, let's get the master switches going. Well, so going to turn on. There is no beacon or nav lights, so we'll turn that on. That on and gonna turn on the fuel pumps. Why not? There we go. So navigation should be all set. Pronunciation is good. Excellent. I'm glad I'm not super rusty. It has been, oh gosh, roughly 17 years since I've taken a German class. I still actually have my whole binder from from my German class. So if I really felt inclined to, I could probably manage to go through some of it and maybe learn a thing or two. It is a language I would like to get reacquainted with, just for the sake of it. Oh goodness, let's check the. See, safe altitudes, so we're heading east. We'll start off setting the autopilot to 3,500 feet. We'll turn the flight director on, CDI. We're going to turn the inset off. I'm going to get to the transponder, turn that on. Go to the PFD. We want third option. That one on GPS. As we allow our coolant temp to rise. Gauge altitude. Set it. Vertical speed 500 feet a second. Hey, Brazenhead, welcome along. We're flying in southern Germany today. So we will go to map, track up. I did Deutsch when I was at school. Very nice. It's a language, like I said, I want to get back into it. I wouldn't mind. There's a few languages I'd like to learn, but the means kind of are outside of my availability right now. Which is but what can you do? So we've got everything set. Nav mode should be activated. Not that the autopilot's activated. Should be ready to go. So we're going to release the parking brake. And we're going to start making our way to the runway. Preparing for departure. I see we have some friends now loaded on the ramp. If I have one gripe about the static AI aircraft, it's the fact that it doesn't sync over the internet, and I kind of think that's unfortunate. Learn how to speak German from the comedy Allo Allo. True as it was on TV. That must be something available in Europe. Hello, hello, sounds like something Murphy would say, quite honestly. Those we're making our way towards the runway on the taxiway. So Murph, you're gonna have to use that if the next time you fly in Germany. As Restream Bot has, or the Restream chat has seemed to have failed. There we go. Quite possible. But Murph can, I'll allow Murph to use that in his next stream. You have the perfect Germany route. Well, I'd be happy to hear about it. There should be a link in my Discord that you're more than welcome to join. Always open to new flight plans. Always wanted to visit Germany in real life. My father was stationed in Germany during his time in the Army. He was in the early 70s. He was stationed out of Stuttgart. In fact, he was in country when the Munich hostage crisis took place. So, there's a fun little fact. Now, I don't know if we need to go the whole length of the runway, so I don't think we will. One flap, one notch of flaps is all we really need. We will pause here a minute and make sure everyone's caught up. It was a British sitcom about German occupation of France in World War II, and the French resistance used a little French cafe as a sort of headquarters. I guess you had to be there. It sounds kind of like a similar in nature to Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing. Oh, Sergeant Schultz. Colonel Clink. So it looks like most of us are here. We're gonna go ahead and go for departure. Set our lights appropriately. We got someone in the air already. It's Orlando Aviator. Welcome, welcome. Glad you could make it. We get lined up on the center line. Gonna slowly add some power in. Keep it on the center line as best we can. Stay on target. And that's liftoff. A light bit of a crosswind. It is the DA-40NG. It's 300 feet. Flaps are going up. Pull back to help stabilize. We're going to do a right-hand turn around the field while everyone gets caught up. I am running the DA-40NG community mod. Kind of gives a little bit of extra performance. I also have the working title G1000 mod installed. That's okay. It's a common mistake. I won't hold it against you, Chippy. And you're welcome, Chippy. Check and see if there's anyone still. Yeah, we got one taken off. It's not been updated, but I went through and deleted the whole folder and reinstalled it because I was having problems with it. I'd go to do a direct to or edit the flight plan and it would stop responding. I don't know if it's changed or not, but I'm just basically giving it another shot for right now. Okay, so I'm going to reduce to 75% load. And looking at it, we may have to increase altitude. Just air. Pardon me. So we'll go up to 5,500. That gum. Words are hard. That's fair, Chippy. You do what you need to do. We're going to be here for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and activate my autopilot, which we will intercept the magenta line and go up to the decided upon cruise altitude over these mountain ranges. Not trying to do any kind of serious climb performance. Uh, 3,500 are not enough for the south of Germany, but more than enough. Fair enough. I was looking at the chart and it was kind of hard to tell, so I kind of figured 3,500 was a good ballpark and adjustable from there. So we have a nice sunrise that we're flying into, blinding us the whole way. But if you're blinded by the sun, is that another way of saying I was blinded by science? It's poetry in motion. It's Cap at 9. Welcome, welcome. Hope you are well. Sorry to be late. You're not late. You arrived exactly when you needed to be. Never apologize for being late, because I don't believe that anybody can be late. You all arrive when you need to. Don't worry, I'm wearing my aviators right now. Shout out to my non-sponsored Shady Rays sunglasses. It's Fast P84. Welcome, Peter. I hope you're having a good evening. Although it looks like the morning in Sim. So we're currently flying in Baden-Württemberg, and we will be finishing off the night in Bavaria. Welcome, Allison. I hope you're well. Highest mountain in Germany would be the Zugspitze at 9,718 feet. I'm sure that it would sound just as impressive in meters as it does in feet, but it does give me a more familiar reference point of the height. So I'm going to back the engine back down to 70%, so as not to completely leave anyone. Zugspitze? I do apologize for my rusty German. As I seem to be leaving everyone in the dust as it is. I'm not leaving everybody in the dust. So I have to ask, what is everybody flying in today? Oh, good. So, ha. You can see the Alps down to the south. Deep Future is in a 172. A fine choice. Catbat's in the Turbo 182 from Carenado. Very nice. Red Dragon's in a DA-40. Kendra is spectating. She's a passenger on the flight. Well, there's plenty of room for passengers, so you're more than welcome along. Bass Pete's in the Mooney. Well, see, I can guess. It's whether or not I'll get it right. I know I saw at least 2 more DA-40s. Daz is here. Welcome, welcome. I'm doing fairly well. Having a nice time flying in Baden-Württemberg, in the south of Germany. Oh, that sounds lovely, Allison. That would be fantastic. Germany is definitely one of the places I have a strong itch to visit. Could Scotland possibly be in the Finanza, as Murphy would call it? Allison lived in Schleswig-Holstein in the 80s and has had many holidays in the Bavarian Alps. Very nice. Mooney for Scotland. So we've got a Finanza, we've got a Mooney guess. And Allison has it. See, so I did guess. I just guessed incorrectly. As I just rolled a natural 1. Hope you're well, Daza. So, fun news of the day. I got the new a sample of the new merch that I put up on the store in the form of a t-shirt and a hoodie. And they look fantastic. They turned out very nicely. They're just as simple as I imagined I wanted them. But I have some new ideas that I'm going to be working out for something fun. Yes, and that one is definitely a fumble. Let me roll my initiative for the landing. 6, not very good. I have been listening to a lot of Critical Role. I'm on... Oh gosh, what episode am I on? I'm currently on episode 16 of their second campaign, and it's been great fun to listen all. Ed's here. Welcome, Ed. I hope you're well. As we fly over a windmill. Sultan Flensburg, Variant Holidays. Ooh, loophole thing. Some very nice countryside. To be sure. Gonna slow down a little bit more and hopefully allow some folks to catch up a little bit. Let's see. As I downloaded Dundee Airport yesterday, really missed that place. The city, not the airport. Oh goodness. Alleen Flieger Geschwender. Later. Widowmaker's base there. Starfight. Very nice. Used to go there once for competition. Autobahn near the border to Denmark. Geschwader? Boy, this is bringing back memories. Oh, breaking off a little bit of rust on my knowledge of how to speak German. Hope you all got your tetanus shot because the rust's coming off. Most of my family either took Spanish or French. One of my sisters took Latin for some reason. She wasn't real dedicated to it. And, you know, me being me, I was just like, I'm taking German. Because we all kind of took a foreign language, and it's just like, French, meh. Spanish, eh. I want to do German. I want to sound like I'm angry all the time. Oh, Dad says I'm just debating forking out some money on payware airports like Kos, Vienna. Should I do it or not is the question. If I'm on the fence. It really boils down to, is it a place that I'm going to be very often, or do I think it's, you know, the price is worth checking it out a couple of times. Like I got the Bryce Canyon Airport, and it's nicely done, and it's in an area that I would conceivably visit from, you know, periodically. So having the nicer, airports fairly worth it. If, you know, there was a selection of Michigan airports, I'd be all over it because I like flying in Michigan quite a bit. But if it's somewhere that I'm going to like visit once, and then, probably not go to again. Unless I'm getting it for free as to like demo it or something, I don't know that I would personally grab them, per se. Flensburg was right on the Danish border. We used to take the ferry over to visit Danish shops. I splashed out on Innsbruck and I've used it twice. Pencil in all languages ending with German shouting Kugelschreiber. Schreiber. Kugelschreiber. I use a bottle more opener more than I use any scenery that I've bought. See, and that's the thing. It's just like, if I can justify the cost by using it a lot, it pays for itself. But, you know, if I'm not going to use it a whole lot, USA PR1 is on my 6. Oh, hello. The Finanza. See, we might be able to get away with 3,500 feet, but we'll stick with this for now. And I'm not even at any kind of level where any of the developers that are going to be knocking on my door say, hey, we'll give you this thing if you give it a fair and honest review, and which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. I'm even, should that happen, I would be cautionary and say, look, I'd be more comfortable giving it a fair and balanced review, pointing out some shortcomings, and you know, I'd rather give a fair review than a biased review, because when you do a biased review, it's kind of a hit to someone's credibility, in my opinion. Oh, we're having fun. But yeah, if it's somewhere that I'm gonna, if it's a region scenery, if it's somewhere that I'm gonna be a lot, it'd be worth it. Anywhere that I fly a lot, the scenery's more worth it than not. But if I'm not gonna be in a place very often, it's got to be either something that's freeware or a low price and be an interesting area. I have downloaded a little bit of some freeware farm strips for the UK, and while I don't visit them frequently, I find it more interesting, but it's because it's a chance to explore the odd places of the country. Yeah, and biased reviews, they're not really a review. It's an advertisement. Not, you know, calling it a review is kind of, in my opinion, intellectually dishonest. And it's not hard to go find somebody to blow sunshine up and, you know, make happy, but when you're getting into the sake of honesty, that kind of ties in with integrity, and you know, integrity is that's something you can. It's hard to earn, easy to lose, and I would much prefer to keep what integrity I have. I love Red Dragon flying. Loves flying in the Alps, Switzerland, Austria, Italy, and France. If someone put together a megapad of scenery and or airports, I'd gladly pay for it. Oh, no doubt. And I'm sure that I am sure that Microsoft and Asobo will eventually put out some sort of update for Europe, and it would, if it doesn't include the Alps, that's a crying shame, but I'd imagine it would. As it says, I think that's a decision, isn't it? Would you rather pay for scenery or airports? Guess it depends if you fly GA or the big birds. That's fair. It also gets into, you get the big hubs like LAX or O'Hare or Heathrow or Berlin. Those kind of airports are very good for the tube liner pilots, and that's fine. And I appreciate that there a lot more detail goes into those. You know, but for certain prices, if you're going to do a smaller airport, it doesn't hurt to kind of work on the surrounding area, because those are more for, I would say, for GA pilots, because you're using visual references to fly and land and find the airport and that sort of thing. Whereas landmarks, scenery packs for landmarks and that sort of thing is much more beneficial to a VFR GA pilot, because we're flying at the lower altitudes where you're actually seeing the countryside, whereas the tube liner, you're at 20, 30,000 feet and you're not really going to notice a difference. No day trips to Denmark for Kendra. Not to mention all the lockdowns and such. Although it seems that we're getting close to our first destination. 31 nautical miles. We're going to go ahead and reduce altitude to 3,500 feet. I think we can get away with it. Beautiful countryside, and we are running live weather, so it looks beautiful. Runway 06. Let me pull up the chart. Well, I guess part of it does depend on the wind, doesn't it? So bear with me a moment. You're going to ENY. Put that in check. So, EDNY 2020 Zulu, wind 060 at 3 knots. So, EDNY. So, according to the charts, we will be going for runway 06. Bremgarten 5 Friedrichshafen. Okay. So it's going to be on the other side of this lake. And all of my map is in German, so I couldn't tell you the name of the lake without consulting Bing Maps. If it'll respond. Bodensee. And the smaller one that we're over right here is the Zellersee. Or Zellersee. Although on the other side of the border, it is the Untersee. Of course, that's all in German too, so but at least it gave me the names. So, we're actually flying over the Bodensee, not the Bodensee, Zellersee right now. Shortly, we'll be flying over Allensbach. There's Meersburg. So we'll be staying on this side of the Swiss border. If we look too far to the south, we may or may not see Liechtenstein. Somewhere deep within the mountain. And then off this way is Austria. Switzerland, die Schweiz. Over here. And we're flying in Deutschland. Nice to see that the clouds are going to be right where I need to land, probably. That's fantastic. That traffic, or is that a spot on my monitor? The age-old question of Microsoft Flight Sim. Is that crud on the glass in the sim, or is it on my monitor? I'm beaming in. So, Murphy group flight rules are applying. I'll land first, get positioned, turn some name tags on so that I can catch the landings. So when if you get to the airport before me, just circle around a few times and wait for me to land. Roger, roger. It's our vector, Victor. We have clearance. ETA of 8 minutes. That sounds about right. Perhaps a little less for me, but not by much. We're about over the Bodensee, or as I'm now seeing it on Navigraph, they're calling it Lake Constance. So I couldn't honestly tell you the accuracy of any of that. That's okay. Let's see, what was the airport, the field elevation? It's 1368. Ooh, that's high up there. If I know it right, once a year there's an aviation expo. That would make sense. I couldn't confirm or deny. They do have a glider strip at Friedrichshafen. Frankenstein. Not Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein. Rob Brooker. Yeah. Oh, Mel Brooks. Gene Wilder. Young Frankenstein. Such a good movie. Tonight in movies you couldn't make today, anything by Mel Brooks. Bodensee has a lakeside path of... Ooh, that's a long one. Not as long as it would take you to walk around Lake Michigan, but I'm biased. Welcome, Tortuga. How are you this fine evening? We're about to land at our first airport, Echo Delta November Yankee, here in, I think we're still in Baden-Württemberg, in southern Germany. Yep, yes. And it's not as big as Lake Superior is. There's a reason why they're the Great Lakes. Well, hello, Keen. Welcome to you as well. The cloud cover EDNY 2,000 feet, roger that. Tortuga says, all swell, thanks. All good. I'm pretty good. We'll look forward to joining up with you at EDNY. I am using, I'm not in the DH62, I'm in the DA-40, and I am using the community mod for it. Yep, I am in the DA-40 with the community mod. It does add a bit of performance to it, as well as the. So we're gonna go ahead, as well as the G1000 working idle mod. So we're going to reduce power, make an approach. Bodensee has borders with Switzerland, Germany, Liechtenstein, and Austria. As you could say that it's a very international sea, lake. So we're going to follow the coast a little bit as we've got quite the challenge of a landing here. And when this thing gets quiet, it gets quiet. My goodness. Yes, we are flying with real weather at the moment. And right at the exact moment, I'm kind of regretting it. Gotta head to quote Han Solo, I've got a bad feeling about this. Just hoping this cloud layer is not very thick. Oh, there's terrain there. There's terrain there. That's not a runway. Oh, this is going to be a very interesting landing, folks. You have a good one, Darren. Glad you stopped by. And we'll catch you next time. Oh, thank goodness for the G1000. These poor people are getting buzzed by someone that's landing somewhere they really shouldn't be right now. They're wondering what the heck's going on. Oh gosh. This is going to be a challenge for anybody. Oh boy. Oh man. If you're currently using live weather, I would highly recommend not, at least for landing. That's real. Ooh, look at that. Oh, the fact that we got it down has me very surprised, as we already have some friends down. Didn't wait for the landings. Why, thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. I think all in all, I pulled off a halfway decent landing despite not being able to see a darn thing. So we'll get parked up. I see Bad Dog coming in. What appeared to be a nice and smooth landing. The runway is officially open for landings. So it looks like it's a toss-up between Red Dragon, Deep Future, and Fast Beat. As we see USA PR1 and Catback come into frame, it looks like it's going to be Red Dragon next. Looking good so far, Red Dragon. Looking good. A firm landing, but a landing nonetheless. Well done, Red Dragon. As Fast Pete is next. Nice and stable approach. Right over the numbers. We're down. Nicely done. As Catbat sinks below the horizon. Off to the right. Looks like next up might be either Scotland or USA PR. It's looking like Scotland coming in for the fast and short approach, which is just fine with Deep Future hot on his tail. And Scotland's down. Nicely done. Deep Future is next. Yeah, and it's only over the airport, so it's the luck of the Irish, I'm calling it. Deep Future's very nice landing as USA PR1 is over the threshold. And we're down. Nicely done. Sherrigan's here. Welcome, welcome. We search for Catbat. Catback is taking the scenic local route via the roads. Actually, we're not even going via the roads. We're just gonna we're checking out the neighborhood up close and personal, like. Start texting people, hey, your Uber's here. As we see Red Dragon on the ramp. USA PR1, Fast Pete, Tortuga, Scotland, Deep Future. And see, once we take off, it'll be fine. We'll get above the clouds and everything will be hunky-dory. But on this end of the runway, it's awful. It's just not good. So as I zoom back in, as there's Bad Dog. Come in and find our airplane once again. We'll get back into the cockpit. Double check all our instruments, make sure everything is good. Roger that, Scotland. Gonna go ahead and double check our altimeter, and it did change a little bit. We'll double check our directional gyro. Good. Reset the view. We're going to release the parking brake, and we're going to slowly taxi, make our wind. There's plenty of visibility. Interesting. So we're going to make way to Hackiest Boss. The names you see. We're gonna go ahead and taxi to runway 06 for departure. Gonna go ahead and just kind of take a little bit of the grassy route. Double check our trim. Lower one notch of flaps right off the gate. Roger that, Scotland. We're just making our way to the approach end of runway 06. Hopefully. Alright, we're going to use the apparently closed taxiway. Hold short a second. Go ahead and turn off the... That's not the button I wanted. That's the button I want. Kendra has to go. Busy day tomorrow. Glad you came along. Death of Bavaria, at least have at least a visual. Oh gosh. Stay safe and healthy. I'm going to load back and see if it fixes things. Roger that, cat back. Well, happy it came along, Kendra. I hope you have a good evening and a good day tomorrow. And we look forward to the next time you're able to join us. And it looks like most everybody's ready to go outside of Catbat. We'll go ahead and taxi into position. It's a little framey when in the clouds. So we will go ahead and form our takeoff, get out of the clouds as we await. No, it really does. I mean, the dynamic weather, it's a challenge of real flying, if you think about it. So that's kind of why I just stuck with it. I didn't know where I was going, so it was a real challenge finding the airport, and I buzzed some houses. But I like a little bit of real world challenge from time to time. So we're going to go back, set the autopilot for a 5,500 feet. We're going to do a quick circle of the airport, wait for everyone to get back up in the air. I could probably turn down my cloud quality a little bit, and it might help with my frames in weather. Going to make sure the shared community fireflies get in the air nicely. There's nothing like flying the duvet once in a while, so don't feel bad about that. Well, it seems like most everybody is there, so we're gonna do another 180-degree turn to 060. Oh no. Ed, I hope you recover quickly. That can't be anywhere remotely fun. The air mariachi duvet. Yeah. So Murph, in his was it the part 3 of the Vietnam special, flew in the last leg the Airmachi, to which Chippy, Mr. Chippy and I have officially dubbed the Air Mariachi. So yesterday, Murph, the word you were looking for was mariachi. Like, so now that we're approaching 060, we're going to go ahead and activate the autopilot, which will continue us onto an intercept course with the magenta line, and thusly on our way to our next stop. Yes, mariachi, except it's M-A-R, but you spelled it out how it's pronounced, or well, as yes, mariachi. Just think mariachi bands with sombreros and maracas and a guitar, trumpets. Well, I hope that your antibiotics and pain pills do you some justice while you go through recovery, because as I said, that cannot be fun. Ed was busy because he was all wrapped up. Not to mention the mustache. Well, of course. And the ponchos. They get a ringing in my ear. Yeah, Ed, I do wish a speedy recovery. That's not fun. Well, I would say that's a good deed then. You're trying to prevent a fire by burns. That's a tough sacrifice, but I'm glad you're otherwise okay, or at least I hope that you're otherwise okay. Well, just don't do anything to aggravate the pain. Or at least try to avoid. Well, I have to do a few things, but great stream. You have a good one, Orlando Aviator. I'm glad you followed along. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. And we'll catch you next time, for sure. And I wish you well. So we're just about at cruising altitude, so I'm going to start reducing power so as not to get out in front of everybody by too far. We're at 5,500 feet cruise. Doesn't appear that we'll have to contend with too many mountains, but we'll keep a safe altitude on our way to Augsburg, excuse me. I can imagine. I can imagine. I can't imagine. I can't imagine how much pain there is, but I can imagine it'll not be fun getting all the bandages off. Dive, dive. This is definitely an area known for some very pleasant sights and vistas. My mummy once told me that their name was Ed Reed. So I think we're starting to approach the area of Bavaria. So the METAR for our destination. Oh dear. Let's see. No, I have mostly medium with a smattering of high. See, METAR says 2050 Zulu, winds 140 at 5 knots, overcast at 2,200 feet. Oh boy, that's awesome. I do have some things on Ultra, mostly the reflections, just because I'm nerdy about that. the cockpit reflections and that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's in the medium to high-ish range. Yeah, I think I think I have the volumetric clouds on high, and I should probably turn them down, because I do get quite the performance hit in clouds. But they look so good. I really am starting to enjoy this little airplane. I wish it were part of the Steam Gauge Club. Beautiful countryside, though. And there are those of you that are probably wondering, well, gosh, what's with all the streams starting at 0800 sim time? Well, growing up, when I would go flying with my grandpa, we'd usually get to the airport about 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock, depending on what part of the year it was in. And we'd be flying right about this time because it's when the air is really a lot calmer and a little cooler, and that's good for engine performance and flight dynamic. And it was always a lot bumpier on the ride home from breakfast. Oh, I'd bet. I bet they would. I'm still partial to the Cessnas because I like the high wing, being able to look down at the ground. I'm a little partial. But I am liking this little airplane. But yeah, that's why I tend to fly in the mornings, or in the morning hours. To me, it's just more realistic as to how I would fly in real life, or as far as what time of day. Enough to be considered daytime flying, but early enough to where the weather's more conducive to flight performance. And I can't wait for Oshkosh 2022. Same town, same hometown as me, Southwest Michigan. where he kept his airplane for the most part. Yeah, and I'm curious because they've mentioned a few places, but I'm curious as to what the whole update list is going to be. You know, I don't know what everything's going to entail, so I'm really curious to see what what all places. I know they're going to. They mentioned places like Monument Valley and Las Vegas. Allison has to go. Another long day tomorrow. Well, I wish you well, Allison. You have a good rest and you have a good day tomorrow. Welcome back, Brick. Good evening. Glad you're along. Well, Ed, in complete honesty, technically yes, but it's being contested. See you tomorrow. You have a good night, Allison, and you rest up, and you have a good day tomorrow. And we'll catch you on Discord and Murph's stream. Pardon me. A little bit. Maybe. We'll see how it all pans out. So we're currently going to be... We're about to fly over... Memmingen? I'm butchering that badly. Memmingen? Right there. Ish. See, where are we? What's our instrument say? Our instruments say we are about 43 nautical miles out from Augsburg. Roger that, Red Dragon. Ooh, that's a 2. Think we can bump this puppy back up a little bit. I do have a tendency to use the community mods, if I can speak English, where possible, or at least in a general sense. They kind of make things a little bit. I mean, it can be real iffy. A lot of times using community mods just because it's a community mod. But from what I've been able to tell with things like the Bonanza and the 152, it gives more appropriate and proper performance. Just because it can. It's just a D20. That was a 4. But I couldn't tell you how accurate the community mod is for this. Holy crap, that was bright. I don't know. I just think I like how they end up feeling. Like if I remember correctly, I may have flown this once or twice, and it was a complete dog. It was just slow, and it was just not something I felt like flying. And I was like, I saw that there's a community mod, and thought, I'll give it a shot, and it's not bad. Now, although I have been watching a lot of Critical Role, and so it's kind of given me an itch to get back into some tabletop gaming with some of my friends. I don't know that I would bring any of it to the channel, but I don't know. It's been watching a lot of it. It's great fun to watch, but something to do when idle. That was a natural one. Ooh, 15. You know, I think we're going to go ahead and reduce altitude to 3,500 feet. I don't see any major hills in the way. So we'll drop a couple thousand feet. If I tried the XCOP mod, they got the 215 and flying it now. It's very good. I'm not, in all honesty, I'm not really a fan of the XCub in general. I prefer the simplicity of the Savage Cub. Although I guess that there's a community mod for that now. So it's just the X Cub. It's just a little too fancy for my taste for what a Cub should be. But yeah, I mean that thing, the power to weight ratio on that thing would have to be nuts. But I mean, if you're enjoying flying it, that's all that really matters. It's just the X Cub never really had much of an appeal to me. I always been more fan of the simpler of like the Savage. Why are my flaps down a notch? Now that they've effectively been ripped off. Let's see. Yep, they're up now. Let's see. It takes off and climbs about 2,500 at 65. Nice. Yeah, I mean the power to weight ratio on that thing is just nuts. I'd bet with 215 horse. That's a lot of power for a light airframe. Have you done any of the add-ons from Asterisk? They have some really good stuff. Well, it seems to want to block the where you're referencing. It also has a cruise speed of 135. There you go. I've downloaded mods from flightsim.to. I've downloaded some stuff from Nexus mods. Not often though. Occasionally from flightsim.com. Occasionally from simvation.com. MSFS add-ons. I haven't checked that site in a while. But lately my go-to has been flightsim.to. Every now and then I'll browse the MSFS forums, official forums. They have the odd nugget of neat stuff. Gotcha. Yep. That's a site that I would have a reasonable amount of trust in. Yeah. I've gotten a few liveries. A lot of good little freeware scenery add-ons out over there. A lot of stuff for Michigan. So I've gotten a few nice things from there. Yeah. Jepson 2001 has done a fantastic job with Monument Valley. And a few other here and there. Someone put the Mackinac Bridge in, which for me personally was quite nice, and I've yet to make a trip up there to check it out. Wow, you got there fast. Well, we are about 20 nautical miles from Augsburg. do believe that I see the lights. The guitar claims that the winds are 140. That's a tough call. We'll go with runway 07. $15 nautical miles and 7 minutes out. Roger that. About 7.2 nautical miles out. So 07. You know what? Cancel that. We're going to go to runway 2. That's kind of 6. Well, yeah, we'll go with runway 25. I think it has a more favorable crosswind component. You know, assuming that the sim is actually not being silly and showing the real weather. Roll D20. 11. We'll do our best, Ed. And for my reaction roll, that's a 3. I appreciate that, Deep Future. Germany's been a place that I've wanted to check out in the flight sim proper, and I thought, what better way to do that than to share it with everybody on stream. Nice, relaxed flight in Bavaria. We started out in Baden-Württemberg. Württemberg? Yeah. Württemberg. I do believe I have the runway in sight. Brazenhead, how about you roll a 1d20? So that's got to be the runway. Wow, is that actually photogrammetry in Germany? Howzers. Let's see, if it's 1 to 10, we'll do runway 7. If it's 11 to 20, We'll go with 25. How about that? Hour northeast of the airport. Go and check it. Roger that. So that is a 7. So that's runway 7. So that being said, we're about 8 nautical miles out. We have the airport in sight. We'll disengage the autopilot. Reduce power just a hair. And make a turn to align ourselves with the runway. I don't think it would inspire a whole lot of confidence for the passengers if the pilot of an airliner were to choose their runway based on their roll of a D20. The runway in sight. Okay, reduce power a little bit more. Trim up to compensate and to slow down. We're going to be on about a 5-mile final. We'll add that notch of flaps in, compensate for the pitch up by pressing in on the yoke a little bit. There we are on about a 4-mile final. 4 mile? Yeah, 4 mile. We'll roll for initiative. Or would that be a dexterity save? Ooh, 15. Use power a little bit more. I did a short flight in FSX last night, just because I wanted to fly a Cessna 337. And I did so in Ireland, and oh boy, the default look of Ireland in FSX, after flying this for 3 or 4 months, oh my, it's not good. Double check the altimeter. Hasn't changed, 30.34. Had that last notch of flaps in. Keep adjusting the trim, keep a hand on the throttle. And once I get down, I'll get parked up and I'll get the camera set up. Not a big airport, it's a little airport. Very nice, Brazenhead. Well, how about that? The dice knew that we needed to land on this runway, because now we have the headwind. So we float, 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 pitch up, butter. 110, that's not too bad. So we'll wait until we get to... Try to make this one, add some brakes in, hold back on the yoke to avoid prop damage. We'll park ourselves just off the runway, or off the taxiway, I should say. So, get the name tags on real fast. The runway is open. First up is Bad Dog in a DA-40. Catbat doing a flyby. And Bad Dog is down. Nicely done. So who's next? Who be the next? Looks like it's Deep Future next. And Deep Future with a nice rollout. Down. Nicely done. Red Dragon in a DA-40. Over the numbers. Over the threshold. I said that in the wrong order. And good float, good float, good float. Nicely done. Next up is Tortuga in the 215 horsepower X-Cub. And shortly behind Tortuga is Fast P-84. And we're down. Nicely done. On final, we have Brick. And Brick is getting closer and closer. We're all counting on you. We have eyes on Brick as he approaches the threshold. Brick is over the threshold. Looks to be over the piano keys. Over the number. And we appear to be down. Nicely done, Brick. All right. Catbat says he sees hovering airplane. Interesting. Well, those things are very important. Just landed. I missed you. I'm so sorry, Scotland. I didn't see in the pattern. My apologies, my friend. In fact, I still don't see you. Ah, there you are. I apologize. So we're going to follow the will of the windsock, and we're going to take off using runway 07. But yeah, Chippy, you got to take care of those wife things. That's kind of important. That can make or break a lot of things. So, we're going to taxi to runway 07. Check our trim. Sean Leo's here, welcome. Just finishing a long slog of a day and more tomorrow. No flying for me. Well, I'm glad you're here anyway. I bet it was Scotland. I feel bad. But Sean, we're glad to have you along and at least watching, and I hope that you enjoy or you find the flight relaxing to watch, as we do try to keep things in a nice relaxed kind of tone. I see what you did there. I think of it this way: if you don't take care of that thing called a wife, you might not get to see us anymore. So that might take some priority there. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we have our friends along with us. I'll taxi into position and hold. So I will hold and wait for everyone to get themselves up here and ready. Bad Dog, Brick, Red Dragon, Catbat, Fast Pete, and Scotland. Alright. And Tortuga is right behind us, so we're going to go ahead and go for takeoff. Don't drink with these pain meds. Guess I'll have to eat my beer then. Well, think of it this way: if you freeze some, you have some beer popsicles. Then you're not eating it. And make sure that we set the vertical speed. $300 flaps go up. Go ahead and do a circle of the airport. As we hear the outer or the middle marker go off and stops. Hey, it's not eating. Or drinking. Seems that Bad Dog is having something going on. Catbat, Fast Pete, Scotland, Red Dragon are all on the way. Hope everything's good, Bad Dog. So we're going to go ahead and activate the old autopilot. Did not take us long to get to cruise altitude, which is just fine. I forgot to turn the name tags off. Don't mind me. I feel like there's a joke coming. How did airports get their ICAO code? If you're genuinely asking the questions, I don't know. I genuinely don't have a proper answer to how airports get their code. See, we've got a cruise speed of right around 114, 115 indicated, true airspeed of 119-ish. Jarlsberg. NGB, Europe, Norway, Jarlsberg. That makes sense. I do like the DA-40 with the community mod. It seems a bit slow without it, but I'm warming up to it. I do wish it had the steam gauges, and not the G1000, but overall I like it just fine. I do think a lot of the airport codes, depending on where they are, have some the first letter always denotes. I'm reasonably certain it denotes what country it's in, or continent, region. Kind of varies. Like most bigger airport, it also depends on the size of the airport. I know, like Detroit Metro is DTW, or Kilo DTW, Kilo denoting that it's in the United States. Why it's K, I don't know. But that's what it is. Which can get kind of confusing sometimes. At least I always have to remember that KDTW is Detroit and KDFW is Dallas Fort Worth. What were you in? Hedgehog? In the Mooney? Forget. DA-40. Interesting. Are you running the live weather, or do you have some other weather loaded up? Because that's really odd. I have a bug with the heading bug. I need to reset the gyro drift almost every time I want to synchronize the bug with the current heading. I don't know if that's necessarily a bug, because that's almost realistic. But I don't know. I've not had to do that. I usually just hit the D key and things work. And they seem about right. Well, hello. Beat me up, Scotty. Oh, we gotta. That's. If this field transfer actually works. That's possible. But I haven't had any issues with it. That's odd. Nope, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Sometimes I'm just in here pressing buttons, not knowing when anything does. Let's see. I noticed recently when using ATC or nav in their own window, you lose aircraft controls on your main window until you click back in. Perhaps not related, but only time I've had a similar issue. That sounds like a bug. I'm not sure. I can't say as I've run across something or a similar behavior, although I don't necessarily use too many of the extra windows outside of the VFR map. But it sounds like it may be a bug of sorts. Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't give any personal feedback on that. I've not experienced it. I don't necessarily put anything on a secondary monitor. Yeah, other than to say that it does sound like some sort of bug. And open was the VFR map. I don't know that that would have caused your ground handling issues. That's weird. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, it definitely has the smell of a bug to me. But I am by no means any sort of expert. Yeah, that's that's quite possible. Although I've opened and closed the VFR map without issue, so it's interesting. Maybe it's just the way I do it. I have a button for the VFR map assigned on my yoke, so I don't have to go through the on-screen menu. So I do believe this is Zurich, or not Zurich, Munich. That is in fact Munich. Well, we'll have to see. So, welcome to Munich, everyone. Basically, it's been I don't know. I just kind of thought, I want to go to Germany. Been a place that I've wanted to go to in real life, and right now this flight sim has been very good at exploring places that you've wanted to go, but you can't go due to either COVID lockdowns or to budgetary constraints. And my dad was stationed in Stuttgart, so we start over in the southwest part of Germany, and we're flying over the Sudetenland, Süddeutschland, or southern Germany. We started in Baden-Württemberg region, and we're currently in Bavaria. Specifically, we're over in Munich. But yeah, I mean, Germany's a beautiful country. Place that I wouldn't mind. I would like to visit very much. So that's kind of what inspired it. Is Ramstein Air Base close to this flight? Uncertain. I think Ramstein is a bit further north on let's see. Ramstein Air Force Base is no, this is definitely Munich, based on the airport. So Ramstein is north of where we first started this little adventure. So we're way past it now. Lived in Luxembourg for a few years and would venture into both Germany or France from time to time. Very nice. Yeah, that whole part of Europe is always, I mean, I have a huge interest in history, specifically revolving around World War II. So visiting Europe would be really interesting to me, being able to see the sights and whatnot. Because the only country that I've been to outside of the United States has been Canada, and that hardly counts. Because I live in Michigan, which is right next to Canada. So it's like going to Michigan, just there's French everywhere. Let's see, Canadian Taz. A ticket was logged with Zendesk by another user. Okay, so the Zendesk is aware of the issue, which is good. The wonderful countryside. Picked a good weather day too, unless it's the weather's gone bugged out and decided it doesn't want to be live anymore, which is possible. That's okay. Check the cockpit, see where we're at. About just under 30 nautical miles left. Thing and a half pages. Not at all, Ed. I mean, you're. Well, welcome back, King. Yeah, you're going through some troubling times, Ed. So I mean, to not be patient would be rude, and I'm not about that. There's nothing about this whole thing that gets me in a hurry. So you take as much time as you need, Ed. glad you're back, Keen. Let's see. Looks like this sim has more windmills than actually exist in the real. It's possible. I like to call them my fans. Let's see. We're going to EM. Oh no, METAR for EDME. You, Murphy, and all the most are. Well, I appreciate that, Ed. I mean, I have little to no ego. I've got nothing to prove. I'm just trying to provide a nice, relaxed, welcoming place on the internet for people to enjoy flight simming and the occasional other game, which I've been neglecting the Division lately, and I feel kind of bad about that. But that could change here soon, depending on how this weekend goes. I have an ideas that I'm going to be discussing with our good friend Murphy about Friday. Should be interesting. But perhaps this weekend, depending on what I have going on, which I don't think is a whole lot, given the current state of the world and specifically Michigan doing Michigan things. But I'm gonna hopefully I get at least a little bit of a stream for Tom Clancy's The Division. And I like it because it's a different kind of. It's not your typical shoot 'em up. And because I don't like your typical shoot 'em up, but I'm glad that you're here, Ed, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and I appreciate the compliment and the kind words. Murph is a very, very kind man and a very good dude, and I'm just glad to be a part of the community, and I'm glad that he shares you all with me. And I 100% agree with Murphy on that. Well, I've played both on both. My current playthrough is Division 1 on PC. I've not played it all the way through on PC. I've played Division 1 all the way through on Xbox One. I started playing and got a good chunk of the way through of Division 2 on Xbox One. I've gotten a little bit of the way in on Division 1 on stream, and I've got 1 or 2 missions in on Division 2 off stream. So we're going to look for the runways. And you know what? Augsburg. I don't want Augsburg. Why don't we get Augsburg? I don't want Augsburg. Eggenfelden. What a name. That's Augsburg. I don't want Augsburg. There we go. So we're going to take runway 8, or runway 08, for landing. As we are approaching it, we are 16 miles, 16 nautical miles Sorry for going a little Randy Newman there. So we expect runway 08. Field elevation is 1,342 feet. Yeah, I've never really had a flight sim community to be a part of up until I ran into Murphy. Uh, he's it was just he was a diamond in the rough as far in or as I should say a GA plane in a sea of airliners or wacky pilots. The weekend before Flight Sim came out, and he was flying the new sim, showing it off before the official release, and I was getting back into streaming myself, and I was looking for something to watch, but the last thing I want to watch is tube liners, for the most part. And I was scrolling through the Twitch, who was broadcasting the sim, and I just, based on thumbnails, I'm seeing tube liner, wacky pilot, tube liner, and then there's this guy flying a 172, and I'm just like, I'm gonna click on this guy, and that was Two Tone Murphy, and I've been here ever since. It was a Saturday, and you couldn't at the time subscribe to his Twitch channel. And then the next day, the Sunday, you could. Let's see. Luke's here with the host. Much appreciated. Sorry, I muted myself for a minute. I had a visitor. Let's see, this morning I had an English exam. During this exam, I came up with an idea for a magic trick. Magic is a hobby, so like any normal human during a study period, I came up with a method for it. 08, cool. To be fair, I was never told I couldn't study magic. There you go. That's fair, Ed. I've always kind of preferred Twitter. Twitch as a streaming platform. I think just it's a better stable platform. No, and see tube liners finding Murph flying GA. It's really been the big blessing of the whole year. So I am incredibly thankful for that. No, that's not what I wanted. Note to self, do not turn off the fuel while you're in flight. I'm not sure. It's fine in OBS. Twitch seems fine. Yeah, I don't know. So how is the magic trick going there, Keen? Canadian Tez, what, no dead stick landing today? You know, as interesting as that would be, I think I'll save emergency procedures for another stream. I'm glad to hear that the trick is going well, Keen. So this is probably the smallest airport we've been to since the first airport. Sure. A little bit of concentration, keep that on the center line. Even 100. How about that? So go ahead and pull off. Get parked up. Get the name tags on. Thanks, Ed. I do appreciate it, and Keen as well. I do try to do the best I can. Ooh, too low. And the runway is open. You're in the place that we're in. So who's gonna be first? Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. It could be deep future. Looking like Deep Future is number 1 for landing. Followed very closely by Red Dragon. Remember, there's no harm in going around. And Deep Future is down. Nicely done. Next up is Bad Dog. Nice save at the end. Nicely done, Bad Dog. Nicely done. If everybody's up for one more short leg, we can do that. Otherwise, we can call it a stream. We're about 3 hours in. I will leave the decision up to you guys. Incoming for Brick is over the threshold, over the piano keys, over the numbers, and down. Nicely done. Remember, if you like my streams, you're going to love the streams of 1-2 Tone Murphy. His streams are a lot like mine, but better production quality, and he's Irish. Deep Future's up for another short leg. The dice are in the favor of, or the D20 is in favor of doing the last very short leg. It's like 40 some odd nautical miles, so it's real quick. And we'll kind of beeline it. Tortuga, next up. Bad Dog's up for another one. Glad to have you along, Canadian Taz. Lewis, glad you came with us. Tortuga with a nice bit of a float and then a nice landing. A little bit of a bounce. I do not have any pets. I cannot currently financially be responsible for one, and I wouldn't put an animal through that sort of thing. If I can't afford to take care of an animal, it would be unfair to it. So I do not have any pets currently. Scotland incoming. Bit of a Navy landing. Uh-oh. I think Scotland found the river. And I have plenty of pet peeves. But I have good control over them. In comes Fast Pete, going around is Fast Pete. Catbat in next. Oh no, Scotland stalled. Catbat's in. Nice, solid landing. Well done. Someone call the tow truck to help Scotland. Seems like Scotland's got it. Incoming Red Dragon on go number 2. And Red Dragon's down. Nicely done. Yeah, that's one thing I'm finding with this. It almost feels like you have to be a little bit faster than the 172. It does not float as much as the 172 does. And I don't know if it's just a different kind of wing or just the fact that it's low wing. But it doesn't float near as much as a 172 does. Time is, and I have an exam first thing tomorrow. Well, Keen, you get some rest and good luck with the exam in the morning. Knock it out of the park, as we would say here in the United States. Brake is down for landing number 2. Nicely done. And Fast Pete surely behind. Well, you got to clean out all that grease underneath the engine from the exhaust. And Fast Pete is down. Nicely done. Nicely done by everyone. Is that everybody? Because the last thing I want to do... Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Scott. I don't kind of feel bad. I feel bad for Scotland because first I miss it. And then the airport, the landing he does get on camera, he goes for a wash. A nice little airport. Cozy. So I think the parking placements could use some work. That's a nice looking scheme on a 172. I like that. I like that a lot. Everybody had real nice landings today. So, if you excuse me just a short moment, I need to take a brief trip to the FBO. So I will be... Jane L. Tans is here. Great stream. Many thanks. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Give me a minute and I'll be right back. I have to take a trip to the FBO. Be right back. And I'm back. Oh, we got one more short leg, Murph. Don't tune away just yet. I just had to take care of some landing fees, we'll call it. So our final stop of the evening, if I can hit the right button, and adjust everything and turn off the name tags. Zoom is going to be Echo Delta November Bravo. Arnbruck. Arnbruck, Germany. Short 45 nautical mile trip. So we're going to go ahead and... Mrs. Two Tones here? I certainly hope. If she's not watching, well, hello anyway. I hope Murphy passes along the message. Oops, that is not the button. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons right now. We'll double check our trim. One notch of flap in. One more short little leg. So, Murph, has Mrs. Two-Tone gotten any flight hours logged recently? And she seems to be a natural talent. Well, hello, Mrs. Reed from the Fork. Even in the taxiways, hitting that apex. The apex of corners. Very early hold short line. So we will make sure that we've got everyone with us. Strobes are on, landing lights are on. Okay, we'll... I really am starting to have a like for this whole airplane. It's not by any means a favorite, but I do like it. As we get everybody queued up or lined up, depending on where you're from. Alright, and we're all basically here, so we're going to go ahead and slowly add the power in. We do the little dance with the rudder pedals, keeping her on the center line as best as we can. As we naturally want to take off. There we go. A little bit. And there's 300 feet. AGL. Fly runway heading as we gain speed and altitude. Maintain trim so as not to stall. We're going to do a right hand pattern as everybody gets in the air. And I am liking this over the SR-22 for the sheer amount of visibility advantage this has. It's nuts. Don't get me wrong, the SR-22 it's a wonderful little airplane, but it does not have great visibility by any stretch of the imagination. So we're going to go ahead and go in on nav mode. As we head to the final stop of the evening. And don't forget to keep yourselves hydrated. It's real easy to forget about staying hydrated when the temperature gets low. Everybody thinks about it when it gets hot, and it's still very possible to have problems with hydration when it is cold out. Okay, where is nav mode active? It looks to be 7 currently. Get that. In fact, if I recall from my training, it's more common to have dehydration problems in the wintertime than it is in the summertime, simply because everybody associates, oh, it's cold, so I'm not sweating as much, and blah, blah, blah. But it's a misnomer, because you still lose quite a bit of moisture when you're breathing and such. So it's almost more important to remember it during the colder months than it is the warmer months. So stay hydrated, people. It's important. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. Well, your doctor is a smart person. And it's good that he makes that reminder. So, we are just under 40 nautical miles. About 20 more minutes. Absolutely. Keeps everything as it should be, because the human body is, as a life form in Star Trek once stated, we are all ugly bags of mostly water. And I do believe the ratio is we're 60% water. So water is very important to maintaining a healthy body and a healthy mind. I can't do anything about my mind, so I might as well treat my body decently. I'll cover 97% H2O. So yeah, we're ugly bags of mostly water. Of one sort or another. So according to the charts, we should be at a safe altitude, because we're not going to quite get into these mountains. We're going to be going, just stopping just into them a little bit. Oh, absolutely. Tea does count, because it is mostly water. It's almost flavored water. So Arnbruck, just on this side of the border of Czechia, or the country formerly known as the Czech Republic. The field elevation is 1,716 feet. It's just on the edge of some of the mountainous terrain. We may have to adjust a little bit, but according to the charts, we should be okay. Mostly. Don't quote me on that. If I'm wrong, blame the charts. We will be passing by Straubing Valmule, a military air base. Or I guess the elevation is 610 meters, or 1,716. Yep, so tea's good, coffee's good. As long as it's mostly water, it's just the pop. It's between the sugar and the sodium. It's just not good for you. I know it's great. It's great to have every once in a while, but by and large, it's just your body doesn't need it. Your body doesn't need it, and it needs just water. Cleans out the system. So we will. That's not the chart that I want. So it looks like we're looking at runways 16 and 34. And there's no METAR available. Awesome. That's helpful. It's Annalisa. Welcome, welcome. We're doing good. We're on the last little bit of a tour of southern Germany. Yeah. You don't buy beer, you rent it. That's definitely I would subscribe to that. So we're gonna probably go up to go up 1,000 feet to 4,500 feet. Increase the power just a hair. I hope you're doing well, Annalisa. So, as Catbat has suggested, we will leave the runway choice up to my handy dandy D20. So, 1 through 10, we go with runway 16. 11 through 20, we go through runway 34. So as I roll the dice, it's 5, so we go with runway 16. May the powers that be forgive me for making a poor choice. I hope you're well, Annalisa. I'm glad you're popping in for even a short time. Colonel, how did I get the name? Well, it's really interesting, except it's not that interesting. Back in high school, I had taken a lunch to school that required the use of a fork, and I took one from home, so, not a plastic fork. Well, I took it to school, had my lunch, and let's just say that the fork didn't make it out of my car for some time. I don't know how long, but some time. And one day, as I was cleaning out my car, I discovered the fork. And it being it was there, it was clean for, as clean can be floating around a car for an undetermined amount of time. I decided that, this fork has been in here for so long, I shall give it a military rank. And thus, Colonel Fork, the name was born. Let's see. Chest infection. Oh no, Annalisa, that's awful. Well, I hope you can get some rest and feel better. Hopefully this nice stream can at least provide some relaxation for you while you heal. But yes, the name Colonel Fork, I ended up using it when I started getting into some online gaming that wasn't involving racing. And it just kind of took over everything. The 85 represents the year I was born. It was just kind of random pick. I do hope that you are finding some rest, Annalisa. Because what you're going through does not sound fun. Ed, between you and Ed, we've really become the infirmary. I did use the 85 for sim racing. It originated as the year I was born, and so I used the 85 in sim racing as well. So you're not stupid. You guessed correctly in a way. As Obi-Wan would say, So what I said was true from a certain point of view. Except you would be saying it to me. Wondering about the 85-inch fork bed resting, watching and healing stream. Well, between you and Ed, I hope you both recover quickly from your various ailments and injuries. And so long as I can help provide some relaxing entertainment whilst you recover, I shall do my best to provide it for you. I'm no nurse, but I can stumble around some healing. Well, I appreciate that, Annalisa. I try. Very narrow runway. That sounds like a perfect challenge for the flying circus. And appreciate the compliment. I really do. I'm learning all kinds of new slang from your side of the pond. And it's been awesome. Because I enjoy learning the cultures and slang from other places. It's fun and interesting. Good approach into it. That's good. So we have the infirmary and the burn ward. We're approximately 12 nautical miles from the destination, or just under 6 minutes. So I think what we'll do, we'll fly over the airport, get an eye on it, and then we'll hook down. If I'm reading the charts correctly, it'll be just behind this little hill. Nah, and Alicia, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You can have all the chat you want. I'm willing to share. I get to talk. But always more than welcome to join in on the voice chat. I'm sure there's somebody in a voice chat somewheres on the Discords. Speaking of that, no, I'm repeating myself. It's a thing. It's a service I provide at no extra cost. So many windows. Scotland is heading over to EDDN so it can log my flight. Roger that. So we're going to go ahead and disable the autopilot. Kind of begin a descent of sorts, because I do believe it's on the other part, or the other side of this little hill here. Ed does a good job. Ed does a fantastic job. Who needs the ATC anyway? Yeah. Well, and having it, and once you get an ultra wide monitor, you just can't go back to a standard view ratio for, at least for flying, because it gives you. It's surprising how a little bit can add so much to your view. Oh, I see a little flashy. I see what looks to be an airport. That is correct. Runway 16. It's a Scepter. It's a 30-inch Scepter ultra wide, 2560 by 1080 monitor. So it's not the biggest of the ultra wides, but it does its job very well, and it has a reasonably low price. Okay, I've got the airport. I got the run. I believe it might be linked somewhere in the computer hardware section of the Two-Tone Murphy Discord. Okay, there's the runway. That is a small runway. Holy cow. Good luck, everyone. But it's why we're here. Don't stall it. No, Murph uses a like a 50-inch TV. I used to use a 40-inch TV, but when I made this new system, it was, yeah, it's a path. It's basically a sidewalk. It just, when I built my new computer, it didn't have enough proper output, so I had to upgrade my monitor anyway. I say have to, or had to. Basically, excuse me, it was a convenient upgrade and I could afford it at the time, so it made the sense for me to do it. Alright, everyone, let me have a successful landing so that I can get a camera on everyone else's. Yeah, basically. It's doable. It's very doable. And it wasn't that hard of a landing. Could have put more effort in braking, so we won't count that as going off the field. So I'll pull off to the side, get her shut down. Avionics lights. And hit the continue button. General settings. Traffic. On. Apply and save. Go back. Resume. So for being somebody's driveway, basically, I don't think I did too bad. As we have Cat back in, the runway is open. Having the TV, it's nice because it gives you a lot of surface area to see all the little pixels. Nice crab going there, Cat Bat. Got this. It looks like you're down, but you're floating in the air. Interesting. Next up we have Red Dragon. And Red Dragon's down, a little bit of a bounce. Keep her on the center line. You got this. Nicely done. Next up is Deep Future. Closely followed by Tortuga. There's Bad Dog sneaking into the pattern. Mow the lawn, mow the lawn. And Deep Future's down. Nicely done. Tortuga's going around as Bad Dog flops around the ground, a little bit of a bounce. Nicely done, folks. Incoming Fast Pete. followed by Brick Rhymes. You got this, Fast Pete. And we're down. Nicely done. Sure you do, Ed. Incoming Brick. Nice, solid landing. A little bit of a bounce. And we're going off to the side. We're mowing the grass. And take 2 for Tortuga. He's putting the 2 in Tortuga. As local traffic crosses the airport and it instantly disappears. Yes. And Tortuga. Nicely done. Mom's spaghetti. So I believe that's everybody as we do a quick pan around. Look at the scenery. This is great. Murph needs to start a flight. Oh, there's Scotland over there. Murph needs to start a flight from here. This is a nice little airport. The hills are alive with the sound of avgas. Let's look at the scenery. Don't mind the office building. Great landings by everyone. Let's see. Let's look at something really fast. So, all things considered, thank you everyone for either watching along or flying along. You're all very welcome along. I'm glad that you're here. Very thankful and I'm grateful. And I'm blessed to be a part of this wonderful community headed by Two-Tone Murphy. Thank you, Ed, for being there and keeping the chat going, along with you, Annalisa, you and everybody else in the chat. And you all do fantastic work, and I'm grateful to have you along. But until next time, be good to each other, stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Huzzah! How many points do I